Before I show you the evidence that you are capable of far more than you currently believe, let me first walk you through the mechanism that has been keeping that capability locked away. Because understanding the lock is the only way to find the key. The mechanism is not laziness. It is not lack of talent. It is not some fundamental deficit in your character or your intelligence or your worthiness of the life you want. The mechanism is the ceiling you inherited. The invisible upper limit that was set not by your actual capacity, but by the environment you grew up in. The people who defined what was possible for someone like you. The examples available to you of what a person with your background and your circumstances and your particular combination of gifts could realistically expect to achieve. Most people spend their entire lives bumping against a ceiling that was built by someone else's imagination, and never once question whether the ceiling is real. It is not real. Or rather, it was never about you. It was about the limits of the people who built it. And today, I am going to show you 3 people who walked straight through ceilings that everyone around them insisted were solid walls. Welcome to Motivation Daily. Think about Roger Bannister. On the 6th of May, 1954, Bannister ran the first sub-4-minute mile in recorded human history, completing the distance in 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds on a cinder track at Oxford University. Before that day, the 4-minute mile was not merely a record that had not been broken. It was widely believed by coaches, by sports scientists, by the athletes themselves to be a physiological barrier that the human body was incapable of crossing. Doctors had published papers explaining the cardiovascular and muscular reasons why it could not be done. Athletes who had come close had reported their bodies shutting down as they approached the limit. The ceiling was not just psychological, it had been medicalized. And then Bannister crossed it. And within 6 weeks, 2 other runners had also broken 4 minutes. Within a year, multiple athletes had done it. Today, the sub-4-minute mile is the standard expected of any serious professional middle-distance runner. The ceiling was not a wall, it was a belief. And the moment one person demonstrated that the belief was wrong, it dissolved for everyone who came after him. Your ceiling is the same. It is not your limit. It is the limit of what the people who built it believed was possible. Now, think about Claudette Colvin. 9 months before Rosa Parks refused to give up her seat on a Montgomery bus and ignited the civil rights movement, 15-year-old Claudette Colvin did the same thing. She was arrested, handcuffed, and taken to jail. She was a teenager with no platform, no organization behind her, no guarantee that her act of defiance would produce anything other than punishment. She did it anyway, not because she was certain it would change anything, but because she was certain that accepting the ceiling was something she was no longer willing to do. Her name was largely erased from the official history of the movement because the NAACP considered her an imperfect symbol, too young, too outspoken, too complicated for the carefully managed narrative they were building. She was real. Her courage was real. And what she demonstrated, that one person refusing to accept the ceiling is the act that makes the ceiling visible to everyone else, was as true for her as it was for Bannister, and as true for you as it is for anyone who has ever decided that the limit imposed on them was not the limit they were willing to live within. And think about Chris Gardner. In 1981, Gardner was living on the streets of San Francisco with his toddler son, sleeping in church shelters and public bathroom facilities while pursuing an unpaid internship at a stockbroker firm during the day. His circumstances were not just difficult, they were systematically, statistically, historically designed to produce a specific outcome. The outcome the data predicted for a homeless black man in early 1980s America was not a financial career. The ceiling was not just personal, it was structural, it was institutional. It was the accumulated weight of a society that had decided in advance what was possible for someone in his position. Gardner decided differently. He showed up to the internship in the same clothes he had slept in. He performed at the level of the other candidates who were going home to comfortable apartments. He got the job. He built a career. He founded his own brokerage firm, Gardner Rich & Company, became a millionaire, and told his story in a memoir that became the film The Pursuit of Happiness. Not because the ceiling was not real. It was real. He walked through it anyway. And the walk was the proof that the ceiling had never been his limit. Here is what I need you to sit with today. Every ceiling you are currently bumping against has a story behind it. It was built at a specific time, by a specific set of circumstances, by the specific limits of the people and the environment that surrounded you when you were still young enough to accept their imagination as your reality. That story is not your story. That ceiling is not your limit. Your actual capacity, the full, deployed, fully committed version of what you are capable of, has never been tested. Not really, because testing it would require going past the ceiling you have been treating as a wall. And going past it requires the one thing that Bannister and Colvin and Gardner all had in common: the decision that what other people believed was possible for someone like them was not the belief they were going to live by. You are capable of more, not a little more, significantly, fundamentally, life-alteringly more. The ceiling is not real. Walk through it. Share this with someone who has been living inside a ceiling that was built by someone else's limitations. Subscribe to Motivation Daily. We show up every day to remind you that the ceiling is never your limit. Drop a comment and tell me, what ceiling have you been treating as a wall that you are walking through today? Name it. That naming is the first crack in it. Let's go.